Charles Haughey seemed to have a good understanding of the social aspect of Irish life. For example, he abolished the rates of small farms under €20 valuation.
Correct, because the small farms, at that time there was an emphasis by, I think, farming lobbies, the sort of high and mighty ones, and including some people in the media saying that small farms were uneconomical. You wanted a big farm of about 500 acres. All this nonsense. So Charlie passed no remark on that. He dealt with the issues as was. So small farms that had under a £20 valuation, which could be a farm of about 50 acres of mixed quality land, maybe some subject to flooding in wet weather, and not great fertile land, but that you could do things if you drained it properly and so on and so forth. So he abolished the rates on that. And also, by the way, one of the social things that he did was he enabled them to qualify for benefit as regards their income, because they weren't able to have a sufficient income to be able to stay on the land. So by giving them some benefit as regards social welfare payments, they were able to stay on the land if they had no other means of employment, because a lot of farmers now are working outside the farm. They're not dependent solely on the farm. But what Charlie did at that time was give them some kind of an income with this pure valuation. So that was another thing he did.
One of his fantastic achievements, and I was in this particular hospital a year after it opened. It was actually the first hospital I'd ever seen with hairdressers. As far as I remember, the hairdressers that was there in 1988 was Peter Marks.
And that was one of the best hairdressers.
It was, and of course, and a very, very Irish one. And that hospital is Beaumont Hospital. So Beaumont Hospital was built in a record, planned and commissioned, built in 4 years, which is amazing.
Well, it was, because Beaumont Hospital, there wasn't these big hospitals catering for the needs of the people that had illnesses. So Beaumont, Charlie built up that hospital in record 4 years and under budget, or without exceeding the budget. So this was a marvellous hospital to commission in such record time, and to sort of develop it in such a way that it had all these extras. I've been in it myself. It's a huge hospital, and thanks to Charlie, it was done in record time. Looking at it now, it was to be commissioned by this present Fine Gael government, the people that fancy themselves as being prudent, it would probably cost billions and wouldn't come in on the budget either. But Charlie did. Whatever he did came in under budget and was a great benefit to the people suffering from illnesses of one kind or another, from not just the local area, but from different parts of the country that would be often transferred to Beaumont. And by the way, Beaumont Hospital was in Charlie's constituency, and if I remember rightly, the media, in their usual ignorant fashion, sort of said that he was doing that at the benefit of himself as regards votes. Did you ever hear such nonsense?
It really was. It was a state-of-the-art hospital at the time. I remember it was amazing.
Yeah. But the fact that it was commissioned without any of this fanfare, or without any, except this old nonsense from the media, which of course have a record of being anti-Fianna Fáil in some ways, for some reason or another, whether it's people from Fine Gael that own newspapers and have important jobs in the media. But Charlie never got the credit for that Beaumont Hospital that he was entitled to. His name should be up in lights, and that has been responsible for its commission and building up. And I don't think I saw anything about Charles J. Haughey at that hospital, and I was in it. I hope there is some record of his achievement in that area.
One great thing he did was Dublin City University. He established the university, and we've had great lecturers. De Bono was a famous lecturer that lectured there. Dublin City University also has the best computer science degree in the country. It's far superior to Trinity College.
I'd say it has.
So Dublin's DCU was a great achievement.
Of course it was, at Dublin City University, and it was established in Glasnevin, where I think there was a former department of something or another to do with the university, but and it's lovely grounds where it is, and it was another far-seeing development by Charlie, catering for the needs that as they arose, as you say, computers. These were coming in, so he was ahead of his time in regard to putting the infrastructure in there by way of education for to cater for the needs of what was happening. And maybe that's how, in some ways, all these tech companies, the like of Google and Apple and all these, have landed in the country, aside from the tax incentives that they enjoy, that there was this educated workforce, thanks to Charlie J. Haughey.
One of the things as well, okay, that he's most famous for, and the elderly people love him for this, was the free travel and the free electricity for the elderly. There was also a free phone, I think, but that's gone, is it?
It is gone, yeah. It is, and it shouldn't be gone, because some people living on their own in countries depend on the phone for to be contacted. It's an important business where if they have an ID or something that they can. So that was a bad thing for it to be discontinued by the Fine Gael crowd when they got in. So Charlie, the business of the free travel for older folk. A lot of them were confined to their homes and in the cities and in the country because they couldn't afford the fares. The fares was quite dear, and this was a most humane and great effort by Charles J. Haughey to bring in this free travel for older folk. Suddenly they weren't trapped in their homes because they wouldn't have the money sufficient to travel. Most of our brothers and sisters in the elderly brigade at the time would have worked all their lives, but the sort of pensions that they would have got would not permit them to travel only maybe once a year or something like that, or if somebody paid for their fare to visit some relative in some other part of the country, that type of thing. So by Charlie doing that, it meant that older folk now could visit relatives in different parts of the country without costing a leg and an arm. And it also, funny enough, helped the economy in some towns, because suddenly the older folk was travelling around and spending a few shillings in towns that heretofore mightn't have had it. So there was of some benefit. But the fact is that they were seeing places that they never saw before. And it got great credit and great. Older folk was full of gratitude for what happened with Charlie Haughey, and I think we know now when we look at the record what Charlie did. Charlie did more good, I think, than half a dozen ministers put together or half a dozen Taoiseachs, and he certainly did far more than the present government that are costing a fortune to build a hospital, a children's hospital, when we've already got two, doing quite well at catering for all the sick children. They want to build some other one in James Street, which, do you think Charlie Haughey would have supported that if he was leader of Fianna Fáil, not in a fit? He'd bring down that government straight away if he had this as supply agreement or whatever it is, for being so stupid as to site a hospital in James Street at the astronomical cost of 1.7 million, probably cost about 4 billion by the time they're finished, if they stick with that place. They already lost millions in the Mater Hospital. They seem incapable of using common sense. Like, I don't know what's wrong with them, that they want to build a hospital in such a terrible site.
He also introduced and abolished road tax and had a free petrol scheme for people, disabled drivers, for example. That's
another example of his humane, what he did for people that couldn't help themselves. And funny enough, I think I noticed when that was coming in, I noticed a lot of handicapped people able to drive cars. because I think there was a great incentive there too. Like he did so much for Irish people that he really he should be honoured for it, and he's not honoured. He's one of the best leaders, in my opinion, that Fianna Fáil ever had. He had the ability, the insight, and the sort of knowledge of the various issues in different parts of the country, including in Mayo, where he did a lot of work over there, helping the thing. As a matter of fact, in Mayo, he lived there for some time, and in Castlebar there's a house named after where he lived. His father was, I think, a commandant in the army at the time, wherever it was, and he lived in Mayo, and they've great respect, they've great joy in showing you where he lived. I saw it years ago, and I was even told about it when I was down in Mayo there in the past few weeks, as if I didn't know it. I said, look, I know about that for donkey's years, so you needn't be telling me anything about that. Charlie was very fond of his West of Ireland period, and the people was very grateful to what he did for them.
He seemed to be very, very, very strong on cultural Irish national issues.
Correct.
And he knew how to make the most, as I said earlier on, he knew how to make the most of what he had.
And he didn't have much, the country wasn't as prosperous as it is now.
No.
He built up this infrastructure, this cultural identity, and the tourist potential, and for the people living in the areas, aside from that, he built the infrastructure in the Lick Dingle piers. He did the same thing over the Mayo. The Cage Fields. He did something for the West of Ireland and for Dublin with Beaumont Hospital and the concert hall. He seemed to be able to focus on those aspects of Ireland that needed development and an uplift, and he did that. But he had an antagonistic press all his life. He had to put up with all sorts of old nonsense from lesser people that wouldn't be able to do one of the things he did, never mind all the things he did. And Charlie Haughey is one of the best leaders that this country ever had, as far as I'm concerned. He did more than anyone that I recall.